everyone, my name is Keely Merriam. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little haul of all of the books that I got from this huge used book sale. I got 13 books in total, some of which I have never heard of before, and I basically just got them based off of the cover or the title or something about them looked interesting. So those ones I might not be able to say too much about. Everything was between $1 to $2, and I think total I ended up spending $23, which is really good. So with that, I'll just begin. So this is all of the books that I got. So starting off strong, I got a Stephen King. I think it's called Dolores Claiborne. I've heard of this one before. This is kind of one of his earlier novels. I've heard it's really good. I honestly don't know much about it though, other than it's horror. I think it's a psychological thriller, but I'm not entirely certain. Don't know if I've ever read Stephen King before, if I'm being honest. I ended up actually seeing on the book sales website that they had like a whole selection of Stephen King. By the time I got there, which was the second day of the sale, it was like a 4-day thing. By the second day, there was only like 3 Stephen Kings left, and 2 of them were Dolores Claiborne, which I was surprised that these were one of the ones that were left because I know these are quite popular. The next one, I don't really know much about it, but the cover just kind of drew me in. I think this is a part of a series. I don't know if this is the first one in the series, but it was kind of chaotic, and so I didn't really have time to check if it was. So it's called The Dragon and the Jinn. So if you don't know, jinn are sort of these creatures in Islam, so that's kind of just what drew me in, is that it's the dragon and the jinn. Although from the looks of it, it's not like an Islamic jinn. It looks more like a genie on the cover, which is not what they are in Islam. I think it's sort of a little bit more of a westernized idea of them, but they're definitely, in Islam, they're definitely nothing like genie. So yeah, I just thought this was cool, and I just thought I would take a chance on it. The next one is another one that I really didn't know anything about, but I just liked the art on the cover. It's called The Bean Trees. There's something about this girl ends up going to this auto repair store, and then it ends up being a sanctuary for Central American refugees. I don't know. But I'm just gonna give this one a chance. I also got The Devil in the White City. I had heard about this one like maybe 2-3 years ago. This one was quite popular on BookTube. Again, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I just recognized this one. I can't really remember much about this because it was a few years ago that I heard of it, but I remember wanting to read it. I don't know if this is like historical fiction, but if it is, I don't really know a whole lot about American history, if I'm being honest. I'm Canadian, so we're not really taught a whole lot about American history. Then I got The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is a Sherlock Holmes novel. I've been wanting to read Sherlock Holmes for a few years now, but I have never actually picked any of them up. So when I saw this there, I just figured I'd give it a shot. This is, I think, one of his most popular work. The next 2 I'm just going to talk about at the same time. They're both Gillian Flynn. These are both, I guess, psychological thrillers. So I have Gone Girl and Sharp Objects. You pretty much can find both of these novels at like any thrift store. I know I've seen both of these the last time I went thrifting. They do look pretty used, like this one, you can see the spine is. But I've been wanting to get into psychological thrillers lately. I don't know if I've ever read any psychological thrillers, so these could both be a starting point. Then another one that I really didn't know much about, but I picked it up because it looked interesting. It's called Saltfish Girl. I believe the author is Canadian. I'm just gonna read the synopsis on the back because that's what really drew me into it, and I think it sounds really interesting. Set alternatively in 19th century China and in futuristic Canadian Pacific Northwest, Saltfish Girl is the mesmerizing tale of an ageless female character who shifts shape and form through time and place. This is a remarkable novel about gender, love, honor, intrigue, and fighting against the dark forces of biotechnology. So I don't know, it just sounded really cool. I think this is a book for someone's university class because there's a lot of notes in the margin that are like academic. It also has a university bookstore sticker on the back. But yeah, there's a lot of like underlining and like little notes throughout. So I think that'll be cool to read that as well. Funny enough, I actually saw this book on Bookstagram shortly after, and all of the comments were just saying that this was like an amazing book. So that makes me a lot more excited to read this. Then I did check out the poetry section. There's a couple of things that I was thinking of getting, but I ended up getting Shakespeare's Love Sonnets. I got it because there's some really cool illustrations that go along with it. I've only ever read maybe like a couple of his sonnets. I really like this illustration here. I think that's really pretty. And then this is another really pretty one. The next one is the one that I'm probably the most excited about. And so that's Clara and the Sun, and it's in hardcover too. I've been wanting to read, I'm not actually sure sure how you pronounce this author's name. I've been wanting to check out this author for a while now. However, I have heard that this isn't his best work. I believe this is kind of like a sci-fi, I think, or magical realism. I'm not sure. Generally, I tend to like going into books not really knowing much about them. So if I'm having a hard time describing a lot of these books, that's why. I just prefer not knowing much about books before I read them. This is another one that I just got based off of the cover. I thought the cover looked really cool. I also looked it up on Goodreads and there was a lot of really good reviews. It's called Still Life. All that I really know about this book is that I believe it's a historical fiction and it's set in Italy. So I think it talks a lot about war from what I can tell. I'm not too familiar with Italian history. I don't know if anyone else hates this, but I hate when books have like these edges like that. I don't know if you can see, but I don't know what they're called, but it's like some are longer, some are shorter. I don't know, I don't like that. Sorry, that was kind of a random aside, but beautiful cover. One is kind of dusty, but it's The Woman in the Window, and I'm pretty sure I have heard of this. It's another psychological thriller. I don't know if this was a recent release, but I'm pretty sure I heard of it not too long ago. They had actually quite a few copies. Then I have, it's called The Illuminaries. Quite a big book. Again, this is another one that I really don't know much about, but I loved that cover and it actually looked kind of familiar. I think I saw this somewhere before. I think it's like a sci-fi or a fantasy. So yeah, that's all that I kind of had to share. Definitely the most amount of books that I've ever purchased at one time. So I want to thank you all for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe.